This is Tar Takes. I'm David Matlock. My partner Ryan is currently in LA, and honestly, the live videos weren't too great a quality, so we're doing videos from our respective places of living. So I'm just gonna hop right in it. The Kawhi Leonard situation. This is extremely disappointing to hear about these trade rumors, since I'm a Kawhi fan. But he wants out. This isn't a good look for the two-way superstar. How it's been handled is kind of immature. How it's gone down. Basically, just starting all this strife when the Spurs organization has been looked upon as sort of like this bulwark for consistency and being the steady franchise in the NBA. Of course, the aged superstars of Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili and Tim Duncan already being gone. Tony and Manu Ginobili basically being on their way out. The look is starting to change. Marcus Aldridge is old. So the team is old at this point in time, but still we look to them as a consistent team because of Greg Popovich. Alright, so we hear Kawhi feels like deteriorating trust has gone down between him and the franchise. And obviously how his quadriceps injury was handled with he may feel like the team has slighted him or not handled it in the best way possible. I don't know exactly what's going on with that situation. We also hear about an uncle who may be talking in his ear, telling him that he wants to go to a bigger market team, wants a shoe deal. We hear he wants a shoe deal. And the Spurs, while it is one of the most reputable teams in the NBA, doesn't have that big market value, which I don't really understand because San Antonio is a great city. It's a very nice place, and it's got a beloved franchise. So I don't really know what their goal is in this situation. But anyways, let's get to it. So the countdown clock on Popovich's career, that's probably one of the big factors for why Kawhi might want to be leaving. Of course, the tragedy with Popovich's wife. Condolences to him for that. He wasn't able to finish coaching the playoff series versus the Warriors, which we saw went 5 games, but it wasn't competitive ever in any way, shape, or form. It was pretty disappointing. But Popovich is the key for this team. It's always been Popovich and then his stars. Of course, he had Tim Duncan, and then at one point he had David Robinson, all those guys. So he's definitely had firepower. But he also worked with those guys when they were like walking with canes on the court. So still, we look at Greg Popovich and like that's the guy who's going to attract people to the franchise. But of course, we don't know how much longer he's going to be. His health, his age. Popovich isn't going to live forever. No one does. But it's one of the questions that could be lingering around. It could be affecting Kawhi's decision. All right. So besides the LeBron signing rumors that we hear everywhere, that I can't get away from. I turn off my damn TV and it's on my phone. It's everywhere, omnipresent. Just LeBron, where are you gonna go? I like LeBron, but I'm so sick of hearing where is LeBron gonna go. LeBron already knows where he's gonna go. He's just we're just watching ESPN literally pull stories out of their ass, just trying to get some form of content. They're just thanking God right now that Kawhi started this, because otherwise they would have nothing to cover in the offseason. All right, well, whatever. Kawhi's situation is probably second. It's behind LeBron, but it's ahead of Paul George. Kawhi Leonard is probably at his best second best player in the league, and I'm saying that over Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, you don't get the right to have it. I'm not saying any disrespect, not disrespecting players, but you did join a super team, and I don't even know if he's the best team on that super team, player on that super team, in my opinion, because it is still Steph Curry's team, even though he didn't win Finals MVP, but that's none of the matter. All right, so like LeBron, every team is going to be making pitches for Kawhi Leonard. We may be hearing that some teams are not necessarily pursuing it as hard, but everyone's going to give a phone call. They would be stupid not to at least try. But I think the most intriguing teams right now are the Celtics, Knicks, Lakers, and Clippers. Here's why. All right, first of all, Laker Nation, please stop doing this to me every year. We talk about getting free agent signings every year, bro. Like, every year I hear, oh, we're getting Kevin Durant. Oh, we're getting LeBron James. Oh, Paul George. I've been hearing Paul George is coming to LA for like the past 5 years, and that dude has not set foot in California. We got Magic Johnson, which I think he's gonna help us get some superstars there, because we do have 2 max slots, if they don't get anything, then this year I'm going to be completely disappointed. If they only get Paul George this year, I'm going to consider this offseason a failure. But that's a different topic. But all right, so the Lakers, I think we're overhyping their potential to get Kawhi Leonard. I think that the Lakers have probably one of the more enticing deals because he wants to go to LA, but we have to think about it. The Spurs have the power of trading Kawhi. So why are they going to trade their best player, one of the best players in the league, to an in-conference opponent? I don't see that working out unless if they have an enticing trade package, which they have some guys that San Antonio would definitely be interested in having, but I don't see it being strong enough to compete with someone like the Celtics. God, I hate the Celtics. All right, but the Celtics do have probably the most assets of any team because Danny Ainge has finessed his way around this league with the IT deal, just accruing assets. The real process, as Stephen A. Smith would call it, in the NBA. I would want teams to do their process more in the Celtics way than the Sixers way. But let's get to it with the Celtics trade package that they could bring up. So the Celtics have probably one of the most interesting and probably the best point guard dilemma in the league, and the fact that do they want to keep Kyrie Irving, who is top 5 point guard, easy, maybe top 3, but health concerns, he's going to be eligible for a supermax in a year, so money. Do we want to pursue Kyrie further if we don't know how long he's going to be around for if he's going to be around for every game with the injuries and all that potential things? And we've already saw the IT deal, how Danny Ainge is probably the most savage GM of all time, but it works. Just mercilessly ending IT's tenure in the Celtics. But it was for the best for the team, obviously. But Terry Rozier is an interesting piece of this dilemma because Terry Rozier obviously showed that he is worthy of a starting position in the NBA more than some of these mediocre point guards that we see floating around on these other teams. Terry Rozier is a starting caliber point guard, and I bet that the Celtics know that they could spend much less money to have a point guard that isn't, I'm not saying he's as good as Kyrie Irving, but he's definitely an adequate fit in the system, who can run the offense, play incredible defense, and he can get the ball in the basket. All right, so we look at this trade deal that we could have come up here. I'm looking at Kyrie, Jaylen Brown, and Semi Ojeleye. Semi Ojeleye not being a necessarily gifted scorer, but he can shoot. His shot didn't really fall, but in college he was a solid shooter. He's a very physical guy, good defender. He fits Pop's system. So Jaylen Brown is a young talent. There's no way the Celtics can touch Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum is the future of that team. Jason Tatum is the future of the NBA. He is untouchable. Jaylen Brown, extreme promise. He already showed that he can ball out in this past playoffs, but he's probably going to end up being a casualty of this trade deal going to the Spurs, which isn't a bad place to end up if you're that sort of player, but he's not going to be a part of the Celtics process anymore. I just think the Celtics have many more assets. They have way more trade picks than anybody. They can basically run the offseason right now. All right, and we also hear about the New York Knicks and his uncle actually wanting him to play for a team like the New York Knicks. Now, New York Knicks, obviously, they're discussing this on First Take, actually, how they haven't had an above-the-rim scorer player since Ewing and all those guys at the New York Knicks. Earl the Pearl, he was talking about. Kristaps Porzingis is probably the best thing they've had. Carmelo Anthony, he was good, but Amari was hurt. That didn't really work out, that whole scenario. Steven Jackson, he got a lot of flack. Honestly, he got them Kristaps Porzingis, and he might have been right about Carmelo not being a player that can win you a championship, because obviously they haven't won one. But let's get to the fact that the Knicks have the 9th pick right now. They have a promising floor stretcher in Tim Hardaway. Tim Hardaway is a very good shooter. or they could go for a risk in Trey Burke, who started to play very solid basketball towards the end of the season, even though that Knicks team was tanking like the damn Hindenburg. It was horrible. And then they could trade Ntilikina. Ntilikina and DeJounte Murray would be like putting two granddaddy long legs in the basketball game. Like their wingspan, their defensive capabilities would be something to be feared. Now the offensive upside of a Steph Curry, Klay Thompson backcourt versus the defensive upside of a DeJounte Murray, Frank Ntilikina backcourt. I think that would be an interesting combo. Not necessarily great scores, but I think Ntilikina is going to get some confidence. He's going to be a decent scorer. DeJounte Murray, he's coming into his own for scoring. I think that's an interesting look for the Knicks. But the Knicks also, they really need Kawhi, and they would need a player like Kawhi because Porzingis obviously being hurt. But if you have a Porzingis Kawhi Leonard combo, this combo could challenge the Celtics. The Celtics obviously would have a strong front court with Gordon Hayward, Kawhi, and Al Horford, with the defensive upsides of Kawhi and Al, with the offensive upsides of Gordon and Kawhi. But if you've got a 7'3" guy, the unicorn himself, Porzingis, let's forget about the injury right now. Think about the future and what that could hold with a guy like Kawhi, whose hands are the size of Mighty Joe Young's. I mean, good Lord, he's the claw. That team would be one to be reckoned with if they were to face down the Celtics, which I think could be an enticing place for Kawhi Leonard. All right, and then Kawhi said that he's interested in the Lakers. I don't think the Lakers have that strong of a case to get him, only because he would prefer to go there. But again, they're not going to want to send a player to a conference opponent. All right, so the Lakers have they've got my trade package for them. I said Julius Randle, Kuzma or B.I., Brandon Ingram, and their 25th pick. Again, the Lakers would have to sacrifice another draft pick, but they've got enough young players, so I don't think it would be of any worries. In exchange for all these, I haven't necessarily stated the Spurs package. The Spurs package would be Kawhi Leonard and Patty Mills, because Patty Mills would be like the only other person that I feel like the Spurs would be willing to depart with that other teams would take, because Pau Gasol, LaMarcus Aldridge, those guys are too old. Tony Parker and Manu just not even in the question. They're just not at the level that other teams need or could play with, unless they're Greg Popovich. But a Patty Mills and Kawhi Leonard for a Randall, Kuzma /B.I. and a 25th pick is an interesting combo. Kuzma, obviously, he's a scorer. He's got a very good future. And Julius Randle would add some athleticism and some bite down under, which Pau Gasol is, of course, tall, but he isn't as physical. Julius Randle, he's going to be that. I'm going to call it. Julius Randle's going to be one of those guys in the NBA that we're going to be looking at as a perennial all-star. And he's got the skills. Once he stretches his game to the three-point line, he's going to be one of the most dangerous players in the NBA. All right. But again, why would they trade to a person that could potentially form a super team in the West? If LeBron sees Kawhi's going to LA, LeBron's hopping on that train like that. We already think LeBron's going to LA. I don't know the legitimacy of those rumors. But Paul George, he would definitely... I don't know how that situation would go down. If they got rid of the Randall contract and Kuzma 25th pick, I don't know how they would shift around some cap space. They'd have to cut some people. But in the next team, this is an interesting one that I don't think enough people have been talking about, is the LA Clippers. He said he wants to go to a team in LA. Lakers are preferred, but he did not rule out the Clippers. All right. So my trade package I've got going to the San Antonio Spurs for Kawhi and Patty Mills is Gallinari, the 12th or the 13th pick, and Pat Beverly. Now, this might not be enough. They might need to send like an Avery Bradley over, but Avery Bradley's contract is up. But they'd probably want another guy, maybe a Wesley Johnson or someone else who can stretch the floor, maybe like a Lou Williams. I don't think they'd want to part with Lou Williams, but it is what it is. To get a superstar like Kawhi Leonard. But right now, I have the 12th or the 13th pick. Pat Beverly and then Gallinari first, Kawhi and Patty Mills. Gallinari, I think the Clippers would be apt to get rid of Gallinari to probably relieve some of that cap space. I don't know if the Spurs would want to take that contract on, but I think a Gallinari type of player who is a big man who can be a facilitator in a Popovich system is obviously going to be very beneficial for a Spurs team. He can stretch the floor. Not always a high percentage shooter, but he can get to the free throw line, can play decent defense, and he can rebound. Pat Beverly is the Popovich point guard. Plays defense, very quick, slasher to the basket, and he's gritty. I think Popovich would love to have a guy like Patrick Beverly on the team. And then, of course, the 12th to 13th pick, you can get Colin Sexton. They were looking at getting Colin Sexton and Mike Williams is what I've seen in the mock draft boards. But who the Spurs pick, I don't know. The possibilities for that pick for the Spurs, not exactly sure how that would go down. But I do think that they wouldn't see the Clippers as a threat enough if they sent Kawhi there. I mean, Doc Rivers is obviously a good coach. He did have a bit of a super team to get his only ring, but I don't think Kawhi would complain about going to the Clippers. This isn't going to be a team that's going to be competing for a championship in my mind, per se. I mean, a DeAndre Jordan, Kawhi Leonard defensive front would be one that would need to be reckoned with, along with the Tobias Harris being a solid scorer and the Lou Williams running the backcourt. But again, I don't know if it's enough to get them over the hump that they need to. Also, the injury concerns with Kawhi Leonard. But a Kawhi Leonard to the Clippers is probably a more wholesome trade and probably a better trade for the Spurs, because it wouldn't necessarily attract LeBron and PG to the Lakers as quickly if they were to trade them to the Lakers. Because if they trade Kawhi to the Lakers, it's going to immediately create a super team, because LeBron and PG are going to hop on that bandwagon as quickly as they can. In all this, I just again want to say I'm disappointed with how Kawhi's handled this. I don't understand how this has gone down, because the whole reason I've liked Kawhi for so long is that he's a quintessential two-way player and he's been a professional in every way, shape, or form. He's a quiet guy, leads by example. I don't want to see the prima donna drama every time that I look at an NBA game, and Kawhi Leonard just balls out. But now this is blown up to catastrophic levels for the Spurs organization, an organization that should be respected and has been respected around the NBA. But thanks to Kawhi Leonard, we don't know what to think about what's going on in the staff or what's the secrets of that organization are. And I think this Kawhi Leonard situation puts into question his maturity level a little bit, because is he not mature enough to stand up for himself and talk to the media? That's something that we need to think about. And I think that's something teams need to think about if they're bringing him on as to be a star player and a leader for that team. But I mean, this is just a bit of an icky situation for the Spurs, but it's going to be a great situation for anybody that can get him if he's healthy. So yeah, this has been Tar Takes. Check out the Relevnt app, RELEVNT, on Twitter. Check out at Tar Takes on Twitter. Check us out. I'm going to be dropping more content more consistently, so keep in touch, keep checking our channel, and catch you guys later. Thanks.